Hello everyone, welcome to the next Octane User Academy user session. And this time I am very happy to have Jesper Halden with us, who is a very long experienced ALM Octane user and has been contributing along the years to our community. I will share also later on with you why I'm so excited. But first of all, let us welcome Jesper. Hi Jesper, happy to have you.
Hello. Yeah, I'm very excited to be here and give some feedback on our experience and usage of ALM Octane.
Thanks. Jasper, before we start, can you quickly introduce yourself, for which company you are working and what's your role in that company?
Yeah, I work for TietoEVRY. We are, I think we're 24,000 people. So we recently merged. So we're a very big company with very many different areas. It's Norway's biggest IT company. Mm-hmm. And we do many different stuff. We have consulting, we have production of cards, credit cards, ATM terminals, bank solutions, insurance solutions, ERP solutions. So most of it within IT, actually, we do. So my role, I've been working with ALM and Octane for quite many years. Actually, I think I've been 12 years now in TietoEVRY, where we have. I'm responsible for Quality Center ALM Octane for maintaining them, making sure the users are trained. And advising projects on the best way how to use the tools.
Great to have you, Jesper. Before I start, I want to quickly share why I'm so excited to have you here. Let me quickly share my screen. So exactly this is the reason. So you have been part of a very long journey for ALM Octane, and you have been one of those in the community who has been coming up with a lot of ideas, and this is really impressive. You have been providing ideas, and total votes you have received is more than 600, in total 615 votes. So this is really impressive, and thank you for all your ideas and contribution to the community of ALM Octane and also to make the product better. So that's one of the reasons, why I'm so excited to hear from such an experienced consultant and specialist for Octane, and also get your experience on the journey for Octane.
Yeah, all of these, or most of these ideas, they actually come from our user community within TietoEVRY. So whenever I have trainings or anything like that, I always write down ideas the users have, and then I enter them there and following up on them. Whenever some ideas they come to life within Octane, I always return to the user with a good good news that it's been implemented. So
So great. So you have been mentioning now you are responsible for ALM QC and ALM Octane. So can you maybe describe your primary use case, why you have implemented or your organization has implemented ALM Octane?
Yeah, I mean, we have been a long-time user of first Test Director, then QC, and then ALM, and now ALM Octane. And we decided pretty early to go for a web-based solution like ALM Octane, because we have many Mac users, many Linux users, especially developers. They're very keen on using Linux. So we needed a tool which were possible to use on all platforms. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the reasons why we adopted Octane early, and from our earlier transfer from QC to ALM, we did not do like any big bangs. We took it slowly, one project by project, and it takes time to learn a new product because there's many new functionalities. You need to know how to do this, and maybe you did it in another way in the old solution. So users have to adopt this and get used to doing it maybe new ways. And that's why a smooth transfer to a new solution is much better than just one big bang and then doing a lot of trainings. So that's why we try to do it in a smooth manner. So
I fully agree here with you. Also with this big bang versus the smooth migration. With the smooth migration, you can really think about how you should adopt a new product. And this is exactly what we are also seeing in the market when customers are moving.
Yeah, it's too risky, and it's a lot better that you actually start learn how to use the product, how you do the different things, and maybe you need to do things a bit different, and then you need to create business rules like you do in Octane to fulfill all your requirements. So we are actually done here by the end of 2020. We finalized the migration of from ALM to Octane. So all of our projects in ALM, I think we had around 300. They have actually been moved now to Octane.
Very good. This is a huge number. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So. Yeah, it's been I think we started 2 years ago almost.
Wow, this is a very 2 years ago with more than 300 projects. It's a short journey. Maybe can you elaborate on this? Is we have not discussed this question before, but the ALM QC configuration. How have you managed the transformation? Have you done a one-to-one migration where you?
Well, I mean, the different projects in ALM. I mean, it's a bit different because in Octane it's called work spaces and not projects. So that's why you can actually have several projects within a workspace. You can maintain several solutions within the same workspace. So you don't have to create a project for each small delivery you have. You can have many deliveries within one. So in some areas we actually migrated several projects from ALM into one workspace in Octane. So and that's also to keep it more simple, not to have so many projects, and you can just use the filtering options in Octane to filter out all the old stuff.
Yeah.
So
So and by migrating all those different projects, have you built maybe because in QC you had those test plan structure, you had the requirement structure, you had the test lab structure. So how have you transformed those into Octane?
Well, it's completely different from one area to the other. But in general, I could say most of them has just decided basically to take the test plan and migrate and leave everything else in ALM. Because the test plan, that's where you have all the test cases, where you need to run them, and so we have decided to take most of it there, and then basically just move it over the whole test plan as is, the structure from the test plan, and then they could start building a new application module structure where they could drag and drop that, because the testing is a bit different in Octane compared to ALM.
Yeah.
Because you connect all the tests that should be connected to the different modules, and you don't say that, oh, I have these tests for this release. That you have the runs for this release. So when you run the test, that's when you say, oh, I connected to that release and that release. And so that's a bit different. And this is also one of the things that all the testers, test managers, they have to get used to this. Another way of working, basically. I see they're still struggling with them, and I have to say, don't create releases in the application modules. we're still learning.
Yeah. So and from the user enablement perspective, so how have you have you involved those project user very early, or how have you executed the migration project by project?
Well, actually, some of them they have actually started using Octane a bit before. So once they were comfortable with that, they we took all the history from ALM and then moved that into Octane, so they have all their history with them, and they can continue working. Because when you start using a new tool, you have to modify it. How do you want the mailing rules configured? All that stuff. How do you want the workflow to look like? So all that has to be in place before we can move in their old stuff. So and even some of our projects, they were using in ALM, they were using the requirements module as a backlog, and now in Octane there is a backlog. So we have actually transferred the requirements over as user stories also in some cases.
So have you used a migration tool which is provided for the migration?
Yeah, we have used the migration tool. Yeah. And even we have also used Connect in some cases, as I mentioned before, because you cannot in the migration tool you can go to requirements, the test to test, etc. But you cannot go requirements to user stories. So what we have done is we just took a complete copy and moved that into Octane, into our archive or history area. And from there on, we picked out all the requirements that they wanted, and then we used MF Connect to add that as a user story, for instance. And then you have to create all the fields to make it match before you actually run Connect. And so we've used Connect also in the migration, actually.
This is a great feedback, great input also for if you are managing your backlog in the requirements module in ALM QC, how you would transfer it. So you have solved it in a smart approach. And I knew that this is possible, but I've never tried it. And also is a great input. So how you should move one module into the other if the standard migration process is not supporting it. From the view of the administrator, like having QC in operation now compared to Octane in operation, I think until last year you had both solutions, and now you are only on Octane, right? So what would you say is the difference, the main difference?
Well, I think because it's a new tool, we have to, of course, assist the users more in learning and adopting it with this creation of business rules, because that's very important for them. So I think that will take a while before they get used to that. They can actually do most of it themselves. So they just need to get it, how they do it. So that has taken up quite a lot of our time, but it's running smoothly, and we have not had much problems. The latest releases have been very great. There has not been much errors either, and we first, when we upgrade, we first upgrade our Octane test environment, and then we run that for 2 weeks to a month, and then after that we take production. So we're pretty early out. We're running already the latest version now, and is preparing the next one. So we're happy with the product, and see that it's very stable for our in our environment. So.
Are you using any kind of integration in the ecosystem, like with other management solutions?
Yeah, I mean, we have I don't know how many connections we have in Connect. I think we have, I don't know, 40 maybe or something like that.
Wow.
Where we both move defects to defects, requirements to requirements. In our Jira solution, I think we have more than 300 issue types.
300.
So, yeah.
Okay, this is really a lot.
So we have mapping of like 10 different issue types in Jira to like, for instance, feature in Octane, and have a lot of synchronizations go in there. I don't like these integrations because they have to be followed up. I mean, it's a big job. So I always try to say, either use Jira or use Octane, but both is not a very good a good idea because it does take time to follow up, and it does fail the synchronization. When users change the workflow in one area, not the other. When users are added in Jira, they need to be added in Octane. So there are many things to follow up with an integration. It's just not. If you don't touch it, then it's working. But if you start doing anything in any of the solutions, then you'll run into problems. So yeah. MF Connect, we use that quite heavily, and then of course we have integrations with Bitbucket, Jenkins, and then actually at the moment we're now started to set up integrations towards our Azure DevOps environment. So that is also getting into place there with defects. So I think that's pretty much it for integrations.
For Azure DevOps, are you looking more in the synchronization or on the CI part?
No, that will be just for synchronization of defects. So maybe later down the road it will be extended, but not the CI yet.
Okay, cool. Jasper, if I may share my screen, sure. I would like to, also have your input on what are the different capabilities you are using. Let me quickly switch here so we see the right screen. So I'm currently in ALM Octane logged in. The first thing I would like to ask you is what is the most valuable capability for you, which is provided in ALM Octane?
Most valuable? Well, I think that will be actually be the comments on all entities. You can create comments on task, you can create comments on user stories, and you use this as communication. And you can tag users, you can tag other cases. So that's probably because it's replacing an email functionality or a chat functionality, and at the same time documenting the communication for that particular entity.
So from the user perspective, you say this is the most valuable, because I think, here it comes all together, the collaboration on comments.
Yeah.
So are you using this as well? I guess your users are.
Yeah. So you can see where you mentioned in all the comments. Yeah, we're using that.
Okay. Thank you. And from the module side, I think it will be very, very flexible because you have a large organization. But what is the main module for you if you could select your projects are using?
I think that will be the quality module, definitely, because our testers is very fond of Octane, and this is where we maintain the quality and document our testing. We are eventually also hoping to get integration and setting up test runners with different tools. So we directly from Octane, you can be able to create a test suite with Selenium, JUnit, UFT, whatever kind of tool that you're using, as long as it can be run as a job in Jenkins. You know, it can be integrated and run directly from Octane. So actually, the testers themselves, they can take more responsibility of the test. So I think that's very beneficial. And it's not like you are bound to one particular tool. It's a generic solution, and this way you can get both performance, security, whatever tool you're basically using. You can get the results into Octane and then inject them to the different application modules that you are tracking your quality against.
This is a great feedback. So I also see when talking to other customers that these test runners are becoming more and more popular. So currently you are also using pipelines to execute your test cases, right?
Yeah, we're using all the modules, definitely. And also we're working on setting up Sonar cubes so we can get all the vulnerabilities in there as well. Yeah, so
great.
We're using all parts of it. Yeah, I guess the least used part is actually the requirements module, where that was almost the mostly used part in ALM. So yeah.
Yeah, this is also what we see. You know, it depends on the projects for sure. If you are on waterfall, yeah, then customers prefer to use requirements, but a majority is agile. So they are here, and I guess you are also utilizing the backlog and team backlog.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But what we advise our users to think about the the requirements module, that's if you think about the requirements module, think about documentation, and nothing else.
Definitely.
Yeah. Because you can, create a requirement, and that's where you document what should actually be done, and then you can break this down into user stories, and then you test these user stories.
Yep. Okay. From the configuration perspective, are your users seeing all the modules, or have you defined a specific view for them? For the main users?
We have customers in our solutions as well. So, for instance, in some workspaces, we have like 10 different customers working and creating defects. So we cannot share defects with all the different customers. So they can only see their own. So we use this data access functionality where we can say, when I'm from bank A, then I will only see bank A's defect, and if I'm from bank B, then I will only see bank B's defect. But then when TietoEVRY users, they log on, they will be able to see all of the defects created from all of the banks. So so we have created
and you are using this data access, only for defects or also for the test?
No, the test they just arrived in the latest upgrade, which we upgraded here on the 5th of January. So we really haven't taken that into use yet, but it will, because we do common testing with customers as well. So that will also be taken into use. And some tests you might want to hide for customers, and some you may want to share. So this is very useful functionality as well. For that there.
And how are you setting those kind of data access? Is it manually on this field, access granted, or have you applied any business rules?
Yeah. When you come from bank A, the access granted is set to bank A, and so we have created business rules for each.
Okay.
We even have for defects, we have implemented functionality for like a GDPR related, where we have because we have a lot of offshore users, and they are not allowed to get access to personal data within the Nordic or from the Nordic countries. So what we have done there is also using this functionality. We have a field called personal data. For instance, if a customer, they take a screenshot from some mobile bank, for instance, and then they add that, and then they have a field called personal data. They set that to yes. So when they set that to yes, all our offshore users, they are not allowed actually to get access to this defect.
Oh, wow.
So we use it in many different ways, but there are a lot of rules in some of the the workspaces. We have close to 100 rules just for defects.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Very good feedback so far. Appreciate it, Jesper. One last question from my side. What is your personal, because you have so much experience and so long year experience in Octane, what is your favorite feature in Octane where you say, okay, this is my feature I would like to promote?
There are many. I like the for defects part. There's this first of all, there's this how many times it's been reopened. I like that a lot because very often, you know, it goes back and forth, and you can track how many times a features or a defect has been reopened. And then also this new or pretty new days in phase, where you can see how many days a defect has been in a certain phase in the workflow. So you can track if some is taking a long time to solve. I think that's very useful as well. And these are built-in functionality. It's not something that you have to, you know, do anything special about. They are just there for everyone to use. So I think these are very, very, very good, and they have been recently added. I think it was in October or something. Or September release, yeah. So I like them a lot, definitely.
And actually, this reopens feature is also tied to the analytic graphs. So are you using those as well?
Yeah, I mean, we use the dashboard, of course, definitely, and in many different ways also. So yeah, we started using the analytics also. Yeah, they are very useful. They are.
Okay, here you can see already the. I think this is where it comes together. The reopening rate versus the resolution time. Okay, great. And one last thing from the advice, if you would advise the community towards Octane customers and users who are moving today towards ALM Octane, what would be your personal advice you would give them?
No, that will be the smooth transfer, definitely. You know, start early, but just take it slow and start building I mean, users, they have to get used to a new tool. They have to adopt it, and it does take time. They're used to do it maybe in a completely different way, and it takes time for the brain to, you know, to get used to a new way of working.
Consume it, yeah.
Yeah. So just take small steps, and you know, you will learn each day, and you will never stop learning, you know, because there's new functionality added every release in Octane. So yeah, just gotta start small and then build and build and build. You cannot eat the elephant at one time.
Exactly. Yeah. So really, thanks a lot, Jesper. Thank you for everything, for the great feedback, for the user session, as well as I really appreciate what you are doing on the community, on the idea portal. And this is really very valuable for Micro Focus, especially for Octane. So keep being amazing and sharing your knowledge and providing ideas. This really helps us to get better. And thanks for your contribution.
Yeah, thank you.